You just flew over from Norway, didn't you?
I think it's driven. And
We were told that you flew over.
I've driven through Europe tonight, in fact, or rather last night, this morning.
We were told that, you know, there was your very own executive jet.
I arrived a couple of hours ago.
We were told there was a jet that your very own, the AHA one, that flew from Norway.
I see.
No, we were using
I didn't catch that.
It's really the old bus, was it? Not the jet.
Now listen, you've got this
like
new
it.
album out, which is your sort of, I suppose, is it a greatest hits? Could you call it that sort of compilation? Is there some new things
Well,
in
it's
it
certainly
too?
the hits, you know, all the singles that we've had out. Most of
And it's
them, I guess.
called Headlines and Deadlines. Why is it
That's
called
true.
that?
It's ours then.
Sums it up.
Yeah, it sort of felt like a conclusion. It was our manager, actually, who thought that was what our career had been like the last 4 or 5 years. So,
Headlines and Deadlines.
yeah.
Rushing to meet deadlines. Do you know your song, The Sun Always Shines on TV, 1985, that I was reading there? I was quite amazed that it was 1985. Do you find that sometimes when the radio's on and you hear a song and you think, oh yeah, that was last summer or the year ago, and it's 1982 or something? That's always happening to me.
Story of one's life.
Yeah, it's really, isn't it scary? It's really scary when that happens. You think, God, it's absolutely mad. You've called that Headlines and Deadlines. Would you say that you get a fair old treatment from the press? Have they been fair to you?
Relative to other artists, yes.
What does that mean? You mean that they're unfair on everybody, but less unfair on you?
Possibly.
Why do you think that is? Is it because maybe you're not part of the old establishment coming from maybe a Scandinavian country? Has that been a problem for you?
I don't really know. Because we are, so I can't relate to what it's like not coming from Norway. But I think it was strange for us to look back, find that we have so many years behind us already with AHA, and we've always felt in a sense like we come from the outside, and it makes you feel a bit more. Maybe on your toes a bit more. I mean, and England is one country that obviously is very important to us, but we also cover a lot of other territories. And,
Is it very important for bands from Scandinavia to make it in Britain? I mean, as Britain seen, it doesn't really matter. You know, you could have like 10 #1s in a row in your own country, but you don't feel fulfilled unless you've broken into the British market.
No, that's right. It's still there. I mean, that thing about England, and I don't know if it's justified today. If you look at the actual music scene in England, but it's still like that, yeah.
It's interesting you're talking about where you have to go to achieve what you want to achieve. You started a conversation that had to be interrupted at the time with Lorraine about the price of fame, on how far you want to go with your own fame. For instance, have you wanted to go to America to break through somewhere, or have you wanted to... Are there breakthroughs that you wanted to make and not being able to make?
Well, I mean, obviously, as an actress, and actually most probably in the rock and roll music too, that American is, you know, a very huge and glamorous and amazing market, you know, and obviously the film world. I mean, I've made films, but the point is that I'm English. I mean, I'd be curious how you feel as a rock and roll group, that as an actress, you can't actually... Very rarely do you make a huge breakthrough into American films, because American films at their best are about American culture, and they produce, you know, Americana is their thing.
And
so
very
they're
rare are the Chariots of Fire type films, which is actually, well, even that had its strong American
Yes,
element,
but from an acting point of view, it's even, you know, less rare. I mean, you get directors who go over there and work, but there aren't many actresses who really, you know...
Are you telling me you've done American accent?
I got the accent. It's not the accent I lack.
The attitude.
You got a bad attitude, French.
Because you did a few Hollywood mini-series, and you were, you know, you admitted it was really more for the money, I suppose, than for any sort of satisfaction, I suppose, you get from...
Oh, no, I wouldn't say that. I mean, America's the only place you can make capital. There's no doubt about that. Huge amount of money in a very short time. But, you know, it's like everything. It was an interesting journey, you know. They work completely differently. It's completely mad. I remember it's very interesting, and I like to drop in and then get out, you know. And that's what's possible today.
But that's good that you don't go there and sort of get sucked in by it all. Do you feel that you're kind of standing back a little bit and looking at it, and it's more important for you to come home, perhaps?
Yes, I mean, first of all, I'm offered, you know, a lot of work that I want to do here, you know. Secondly, you can drop in over there. I think it's, there are a lot of people in my profession who actually think they can make it over there and make it their whole life. Well, you can go and try. But in actual fact, I think one thing I learned by being in America, particularly in Hollywood, which is very different to New York, which is where I wouldn't mind living, is that Oh, God, I forgot what I was going to
It's
say.
very
I'm rambling on, wittering on.
No, it's very,
Oh,
very
yes,
early
I
in the
know.
morning.
That I, after a time, I realised that I'm a European. You know, and
And you
that
can
I
go
didn't
over
want to.
there and-
I love to go there. I don't want to make my roots there. You know,
Sure.
and, and I
you
love
can
to
go
work.
there and, as say, like, you get money almost. You can go there and get the jobs that pay a lot, and it allows you to do what you want to do
Yes,
back here. It
I've
gives you
got
that
home, you
freedom.
know.
I've got some very drastic news here for all men. Now, in the kitchen, the new thinking is that all the men should spend all the time in the kitchen. Quite right too. And I think there are some volunteers out there from AHA to spend some time in the kitchen with Rusty Lee.
because of the cook.
So, fellas, if you'd like to step into the kitchen and aid
Chef de la
Rusty
Veg.
Lee, pepper pot soup. And is this going to happen now? The cooking of pepper pot soup?
Hello, morning
Live
to
on
you.
television. Rusty Lee.
To you, Mama. Whee! Listen, come here, lads, aren't they gorgeous? Now, I'm due. Hang on. Good morning. Say hello to everybody. Good morning. This morning I drove into the car park, and there was a lot of people waiting. I thought they were waiting for me. I nearly run them over, actually. They were stood there.
That's small, was
But it was for you. They were for you. So, never mind.
We were wondering where they were. What happened to them?
That was lovely. That was really nice. It's just nice to think that people can give you that time to wait all morning out there. I think that's smashing. Well done. I've got a smashing pepper pot soup for you today. And why I decided to make pepper pot soup today was because it's bonfire nights and my little one's having a party at school. The school's having bonfire night. And the only thing I wanted to have hot on that night is pepper pot soup. So be very careful. It's a really easy soup to make, and what I'm delighted about is I managed to get some yams. This is a yam
well.
in the supermarket.
I wonder what Freud would have said about that choice. Look at that.
It did make the girls at the checkout laugh a bit.
Don't blame me for chopping it off, actually.
Anyway, so we're going
You're
to...
not putting that in the soup, are you?
Not that one. I'm saving that one.
Save that for medical history, will you?
The pepper pot soup, you can either put potatoes in it or yam. And as I was saying, it's really nice to see in the supermarkets the yam. Do you know yam? It doesn't have a smell, or do you know?
It may be called something else in the week.
Sweet,
Yes,
like a
yeah.
sweet potato, or
No, it's sweet potato is different in that. Look, this I'm going to peel the yam so you can see it. There it is. It's just like a potato, and you peel that like that. What I've done is I've put the pound of meat in with some beans, and the beans are kidney beans. Now, there's been a lot of problems with kidney beans because people are worried about cooking them long enough. But you really need to cook it for at least 2 hours till they're soft, and you get that lovely rich colour. So I've got some there at the front. There's your yam.
So
and
it's for soup then?
this is for...
Soup needs to really to cook for long.
Well, the beans
Isn't it?
as well. You can, you see, there's also something else that you can do in the Caribbean, which is you have red beans and rice, and you cook that first, and then you cook the rice in afterwards. You see, there's your yam, you see, and then you chop it up. You were telling